Wow, we are already live. Yeah, being expecting some guests right now. And good news, just in case you are not aware yet, this is the first live stream I'll be having. Wait, how do you say this? This is the first live stream I'll be having. I'm finally monetized. Thank you very much to everyone who supported me along the way. I really love it whenever I get to accomplish certain goals. I love it. Yeah, I really, I really like that these things are happening right now. I already opened the chat box just to make sure that I get to welcome everyone that's coming over. Still plugging at the moment, and shortly we will be joined by our co-host, Jodini, someone from across the globe that will be accommodating us. I thank you very much for. I'll be occasionally speaking in Tagalog because some of the people na nagtatthumbs up ay nandito. Some of the people that are currently watching here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jupax. Thank you, Heroes Leomo Vlog. And yeah, I really like it that everyone is coming over to. Uh, oh my God, here we go. I think I'm anticipating some things here. Let's see. Let's. Oh, oh yes, I have. Oh, so while we are waiting for a co-host, we'll be welcoming everyone here that came over to watch. Thank you very much, G25 Gamer. I think there's a lot more. Hello, Sheila, Kalina Tan. Thank you very much for coming over. Thank you very much for the attention. We're just preparing here, and it feels surreal because I'm finally monetized. And yeah, before I went live, I made sure that I get to activate the monetization feature just to make sure that I get to to earn my keep. Wow! Oh my God! Thank you very much, Saktong Guapo. Wow! Thank you very much, Saktong Guapo. I love it. Oh God. He sent $1, or at least that's $1. Thank you very much. Uy, maraming salamat Lawrence. Ako, talagang ikaw ang nakauna sa akin. You are my first. Thank you very much. I really love it that uh, I'm already monetized. I love it that I am I get to earn my keep now. Thank you very much. And yeah, keep coming over. Oh my God. Sheila Kalinatan, it's okay. Ah! Oh my God, thank you. Thank you very much. I really love it. Wow, it's really nice. Like, yes, thank you very much, Michelle Ballesteros. I'm already monetized, and Saktong Guapo is my first super chat. Oh, finally, the guest is here. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and finally, our co-host is here. Thank you very much. And now, please welcome our co-host, Jodini.
What did I just look at?
I know. You mean that? Oh crap! What happened here? You mean that photo? Let me just fix
Yes.
it here. Yeah, it's one of those Snapchat filters that was allegedly used without permission from the makeup artist that we'll be talking about today. Thank you very much, Shirley Acaso. Thank you very much, Lea Valenciano Vlog. By the way, Jodine, I haven't told you. This is the first live stream I'll be having where I'm finally monetized. I really love it.
Yeah.
Yay! I get to earn my keep. Yay! Yeah, and of course, uh, I'm really thankful. Finally, people may now super chat on the chat box. Yes, and of course, the main guy that was helping me grow this channel and help me with a lot of things here on YouTube. He's the first guy to send over some super chats. I really love it. It's in the Philippine currency, Philippine peso. I really love it. Like I was speaking a few Tagalog words a while ago because some people were saying that yeah, sometimes they can't understand my English, but it's okay. Uh, maybe soon I would be having a few Filipino summaries of these episodes. Anyway, I really love it whenever I get to earn my keep. Thank you very much, Arabani Blogs. Soon you will be the next channel to be monetized, and we'll be telling you that. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much, Jodini. You made it on time, and now I'm checking on my other. What do you call this? I'm checking on my other devices. It still feels surreal to be finally monetized. Thank you very much, John Lee Channel. That some of the ads are local, other ads are. It feels weird. Some of the ads here are in Japanese, or maybe because I have some viewers that are located in Japan, but I'm not surprised that some of the ads I end up getting are from India because sometimes if YouTube does not know what your target market is, they would go ahead and pepper you with ads from T series or Bollywood music videos. It's um, it's an observation I've noticed even in the past. Good thing I don't look too dull here. I still can't get main uh, my main webcam to work. Okay, it feels good.
Yeah, I
And
don't see any problem.
yeah, so yeah, about that photo, it's one of those photos that I found while researching for our topic for today. The YouTube channel is named Glam&Gore, and although people still refer to us Mikey, that's also her name on Instagram, and she became popular as a makeup YouTuber, and her niche is horror and the gory, which explains the username on YouTube, Glam and Gore, and of course because we want to make sure that even if she rose to infamy, she was almost one of the top uh, canceled personalities for 2020, but I still end up researching more about her because chances are that thing, that expose that was made on her might not be the only one that was done on her. Oh, thank you very much, Miraflor, for coming over. I really like it when people come over and watch us. So, which is why I was trying to transcribe that video by Swoop. The channel's name is Swoop, but the person's name is Spanky Valentine. Not sure if that's actually her real name. She's a short film maker, and it's her video that really sparked all of these issues about Mikey. So although I have some difficulty transcribing her because I just needed to go straight to the point what really the issues were all about. I would do what I can to summarize all of it. But of course, for background, we will be checking out what are the other things that she was initially known for, and which might also explain the username Glam and Gore. And later on, I would be good thing I already prepared a slideshow that I would be explaining uh, for the sake of people who are just listening and not watching because oh yeah, because of the podcast version of this article or this podcast rather, this live stream. And I like it that other people are discovering podcasting, although they don't call it podcasting, they just call it live streaming. But I really encourage a lot of people on YouTube to improve their content that uh, the views will come later once even YouTube realizes how much your content has improved here online. I mean, I would also use your channel as an example, Legends of the Internet, wherein you already have about more than 4,000 subscribers last time I checked,
Mm-hmm.
which is good to know. And as you already saw that photo, we would be using that as one of the starting points for a discussion. So I would be posting some, or I would be sharing some of the photos that Mikey is known for. Either she's the one in makeup or some of the makeup uh, things that she did. So here, this is a screenshot of her Instagram reaction to some of the Snapchat filters that got used without the artist's permission. There was this article from theringer.com, wherein in their article they discussed about the Snapchat filters that included art used without the makeup artist's permission. So it's online art theft. One of those possibly advanced versions of art theft. I've been seeing a lot of channels lately on YouTube discussing art theft, which is why I'm still scared to post my own my own sketches online because I have issues. I have some issues putting the they call this watermark on some of those artworks. And besides, I still prefer pen and paper when drawing or sketching sometimes. So back to the photo that got featured here. So let me just point it here. This one on the left, meaning the one close to us, that is Mikey. That's her makeup art. And that was the other one on the left. That was the filter that was promoted by Snapchat. So Snapchat got caught using a couple of makeup artworks and used them as filters on Snapchat. So it became one of those early instances where Mikey became known for her advocacy. It became an advocacy for her to protect artists' rights. So I'm not that good with makeup. I guess you can see that all I have on my face is powder and occasion and some lipstick maybe. But on this kind of art, I really respect it whenever makeup artists get to display their art, but not all of them get the credit that they deserve.
Well, because I mean, it looks really. I mean, the way that the original picture looks. I mean, it does have a very artistic view to it.
Yeah.
Um, I can understand why you would want to protect your work because anybody without a copyright can take it, and that's not fun.
Oh,
And
yes.
there's different copyright laws in different countries, so you got to deal with that as well too, and that's not fun either.
It's actually one of those instances where you end up thinking that you can't blame some of the artists if they would be aggressive in their advocacy to protect their artwork because it's their life, it's their life's work, so to speak. So here, this is one of those um ma- one of those looks that she became known for. Maybe not that gory. I don't know. Maybe you find it a little gory, but I don't. By the way, I don't have Snapchat. I have Instagram, but I don't always use filters for my photos. It's it has reached the point that I would post photos on Instagram and I would say no filter because it really has no filter. I mean, I don't see the point. That's the color of my skin. What can I do? So that's one. And good thing I prepared um, what they call this a slideshow that would definitely help emphasize a lot of these. By the way, Are you familiar with the game Death Stranding by Hideo Kojima?
Yes.
Yes, because one of those deep fake images. Well, it was initially attributed as deep fake, but not really, because there was this photo or image that Mikey posted, or some fans posted online, that they thought was a photo of Emma Stone for Death Stranding. Although Kojima did not deny that Emma Stone might be part of Death Stranding, this photo, this one that you're seeing on the screen right now, was allegedly leaked. At first, it was reported as leaked photo from Death Stranding. So this one was posted on GameRant.com, and it turned out to be a clip from a makeup tutorial from Glam&Gore. And it was the makeup tutorial that made her look like Emma Stone. Although, frankly, I would look at this picture and I don't think she looks like Emma Stone. Maybe there are some angles in that makeup tutorial video where she looked like Emma Stone, but this is the one makeup tutorial that got a lot of folks duped, so to speak, because they thought that, oh, finally Emma Stone was part of Death Stranding. Turns out it was taken from a makeup tutorial by Mikey, and this looks good.
Spoiler alert, that is not Emma Stone. I mean, most of us here in America can pinpointingly see that that is not her. Even if she, I mean, she normally has red hair. But
Mm,
even, I mean, there's have been some movie instances like when she played one of the Spider-Man characters where she had blonde hair, and we can even tell then that this is not Emma Stone. So
mm,
how they were able to get away with that is shocking to me.
mm. Maybe there's some guerrilla marketing going on, or they're banking on the hype that Death Stranding was having at that time. I mean, any game that Hideo Kojima at that time was going, well, he has a lot of fans, he has a lot of stands, so to speak. So what happens is anything that Kojima would be doing, the fans would be looking forward to it. And it reached a point that maybe Mikey was a fan of Death Stranding too, or a fan of Hideo Kojima, that really pushed her to come up with this look. And well, at least she got some attention for it. So that was those were the two instances where she first became prominent online. Maybe not as prominent as last year, because last year she became prominent for the wrong reasons, and well, even the years before. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I'm referring to the other instances where she got known for her makeup skills, but for the wrong reasons, which is why gathered some I gathered some screenies here on our slideshow to show that other types of work that she was known for. So there was this makeup look that she became known for, wherein she tried to capitalize on some trending topics, which is understandable. So here is one of those looks. This is what she called as the Rihanna inspired makeup tutorial. And she basically displayed how to create fake bruises using makeup. Um, I would understand that she's trying to teach some makeup artists working in the television or film industry how to create realistic bruises, but to capitalize on the trending news at that time, which was Rihanna getting beat up. It really left a sour note, and this is also where she somewhat joked about the situation that Mikey told Rihanna, well, not directly, but just on the tutorial itself. She was like, "Oh, you look so hot. I'd hit that."
Oh my god. Bad joke at the bad time.
Yeah, that I would understand the tutorial. You know what? Making jokes that doesn't even help either. Or so yeah, she capitalized on this trend. So it really comes across that she knows how to capitalize on trend, whether it's done in good taste or not. So she ended up getting around 950,000 views. And that's the title, How to Make Bruises with Makeup. And it was uploaded. This was they have conflicting dates anyway. So how to make bruises with makeup easy and fast. And the main reason why it did not reach around a million views is because she got flack for it. Like there are some comedians that get away with making fun of domestic violence, and there are some people who just don't get it. Like you can't make fun of domestic violence. I remember having a comedian make fun of domestic violence only because she was the one who was the victim of domestic violence, and then she became a comedian. And then of course, if you're a comedian, you want to be authentic. The material you would be using would be close to what you're experiencing in real life. And I think that was the only time I can excuse a comedian for using domestic violence as material for their comedy. I mean, that's her way of coping with the pain. I mean, some of the best comedians I know are depressed, and then they use their depression to as material for the comedy. So I will not be surprised if there are some women who end up using their experience in domestic violence as comedy material, but they're not making fun of another person. They're making fun of their own experiences, even if
Or they're
it's not
making
funny.
or
Or
they're
yeah,
making
go
fun of
on.
the our guy that slapped him.
Yeah, because it's the only way that they can at least avenge themselves. Because seriously, how can how can women? Yeah, maybe because I'm different. I may never understand why Rihanna chose to go back to her abuser. Nobody will understand it actually, but it's
I could tell you.
why.
Okay, so have you watched the Surviving R. Kelly documentary?
I only watched parts of it. I
Okay.
should have downloaded a copy in time.
Yeah. Oh, there's more, so you probably want to go more into that. But listening to some of the psychologists on that documentary, um, one of those psychologists said that it's because people reason stay with their abusers is because it provides such a dopamine effect. The attention that they give you, they'll use their the abuser will use their vulnerability to whatever it is that they've gone through, quote unquote. Like they'll be as vulnerable as possible. They'll reel in that the victims, and then they'll try to once they got them to where it's like, okay, now I got them fully on the vulnerability stage. Now it's time for me to be in the dominant stage. And once they're in the dominant stage, they pretty much got them. So if they even if they abuse them, they have such a hold on the victim that even if they try to leave, they're going to go right back because the one psychologist said an American woman will leave her abuser on an average of 7 times before they leave for good.
That is, if anyone makes it alive at that point.
Yeah.
Mm. And it's really sad. So yeah, going back to the topic that we have here, yeah, because whenever you're at the receiving end or of the domestic abuse and you make fun of it, it's therapeutic. But in this case, Glam and Gore, she capitalized on someone else's pain for views. So it really comes across wrong. It's like jumping on another trend and putting a bad taste on it. That's one of the earliest instances that Glam&Gore really offended sensibilities, and you end up feeling bad about situation overall. Now, why do I have all of these other screenshots here? The other screenshots are preserved by SWOOP, and I also tried to look them up. This one by this Rihanna inspired tutorial, it was deleted because, well, you have angered a certain part of the crowd. You end up deleting it after 950,000 views. So the next part, and this is why I use this as thumbnail. This is the other uh, makeup tutorial that she became notorious for. This was the United Airlines inspired makeup tutorial. Like, this is
Mm.
how the guy from the doctor looked like. Well, Swoop tried to blur the face, but of course, other websites are still showing his face. And this is the makeup tutorial that uh, Mikey did. And again, she's making fun of someone's pain for views, and uh, again, it was deleted, which is why other people end up preserving even just the screenshots for the sake of the displaying how her humor tends to go wrong. Like, you're making fun of Vice. Your channel's name is Glam&Gore. There's so much material out there that can be used for views that are fictional, that are not rubbing salt on the wound, so to speak, and you end up doing this. That's the main reaction to this tutorial. It's it came across as politically incorrect for some, and I can't blame them for it because there's so much outrage going on, and here, after she got all of this flack on social media, not just Twitter, although most of the time it's on Twitter where they really get to tag Mikey for doing stuff like this. And so, of course, Mikey ended up issuing the following statement. I would be reading it here. This was reposted by Cosmopolitan. So, to quote, my intention of the video was to use satire to criticize and show the horrible treatment of Dr. Dow and United's poor handling of their statements thereafter. I think of satire as the use of irony or sarcasm as a means to criticize, shame, or highlight the absurdity of an event, individual, or company in the hopes that they would improve in the future. Some may have other definitions of satire, and some may not be okay with satire in any sense. But I am in no way mocking Dr. Dow, and if anyone felt that way, I apologize as this is absolutely not my intention. All my criticism is toward United. I think the video of him, while hard to watch, is a necessary component to making an effective piece of criticism, as people should see exactly what United was capable of in this instance. I am very upset by this treatment, like many others, and I wish him the speediest of recoveries and justice for what's happened to him. I also hope that some of my audience have walked away wanting to know more about the situation and will remember the event for years to come, whether through my satirical video or through any other pieces of criticism they come across. For some, remembering that will take satire, for others, it won't. Either way, I think it's extremely important as we keep what's happened to Dr. Dow visible to appreciate the news outlets and other content creators still repairing on it. End quote.
I have some things. So At any point during this video that she made, did she make reference to this incident? Did she say how terrible it was? And did she at any point say that I am not condoning this type of violence or anything before she even started the tutorial?
Mm,
Because if she didn't, that is a problem, even if you're trying to do satire, because people are not going to take it that way. You have to spell it out for people. You can't just expect an audience to understand what your art is. I've seen so many artists that have made some very outlandish paintings that they've had to try to explain it when they finally had to show it to an art gallery, for example.
mm,
And they don't buy the painting. Nobody buys it because nobody gets it. And they try to explain it, and even then, if you have to try to explain your art, then it's not good art. I found that out very early on. Like, if you have to explain a joke to somebody after you tell it, then it's not funny. If you have to explain
mm,
an art piece, it's not a good painting. If you have to explain your music to somebody with your lyrics or the way it sounds, it's not good music. If somebody
mm,
gets it right away, you've automatically made something that's good. So the fact that she's had to make that apology, I put that in quotes, because
mm,
we know that she's just doing it to save face. Especially if she keeps on doing it later on, which I think you're going to
mm.
show us. But
Yeah.
already, she's not in good standing.
Oh, no, she's not in good standing at this point because there are things, just like what was mentioned by some of her critics about she has so much material to use when presenting gore, the gore part of makeup. She ends up riding on some issues and having to explain herself, which is why I agree with what you said. If you really have to explain yourself when it comes to artwork, then the message of satire is not achieved because you want to satirize United Airlines, you get the message directly to United Airlines. In this case, it was the victim that ended up getting satirized. Sorry if I have to say that, that's how I see it. It's the victim that ends up getting satirized with all that, with that kind of bloodied mouth. Um, you end up, it becomes about him and becomes less about United Airlines. And last time I checked, that's not how satire is supposed to work. But then again, we have different definitions of satire, and this one, I can see what she's trying to do here because in marketing, either you make your audience love you or you make your audience hate you or you make your audience angry. So hate and anger, they're correlated. She's succeeding more in the latter, especially ones that also in the same video that Swoop shared. It's like if you're making fun of somebody's misery, she tried to compare that with making fun of the misery of George Floyd,
Oh,
which turned out to be true. This is her artwork. I have other pieces that I can present here. It's like this is.
oh my God.
I was speechless when I saw this photo.
Okay, now we're getting into Shadman territory.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like the makeup version of Shadman. So this is one art, and the other pieces. Well, yeah, Mikey did these too. It's like she got some friends to put
Oh
on blackface,
no.
and no,
Okay, no, no.
it's she got away with
It's,
this on Instagram, and yeah, you understand now why she got hated
ugh.
for doing this. Like Um, this is not how you promote your advocacy, frankly,
No.
because you're like mocking them, frankly.
Next, she's gonna make like Antifa makeup, and then she's gonna start doing that
Thankfully, she hasn't done that yet, but
because she
a
can't,
few.
because there is no Antifa group. Oh God. And what's her excuse for this now?
Well, for this one, it's her idea was she was an ally. She presents herself as an ally, which is why it comes across as microaggressions, according to SWOOP. And if not for her and for other um creators on YouTube, I would not have an idea what microaggressions is. The first time I heard of the word microaggressions was um, when Tana was being demanded of an apology for her microaggressions, and turns out that the microaggressions were really used as she has reason to apologize because there's some things that she doesn't realize that are racist, that are offending the minorities, but they're still doing it because they end up getting the views. And in this case, maybe she ended up getting the views on Instagram and on YouTube, but we are not so sure if she keeps on gaining those followers. And it even reached a point, and this is one part, which is why I'm having difficulty transcribing Swoop's video, because there's some points there where she mentioned that um, Mikey was having art like this, and then she presents herself as an ally of of the of the BLM movement and the LGBTQ plus community, and then she was losing some of her followers, and she was bragging that, yeah, this is the price that I pay for being an ally.
Oh,
And so it was like, no, you're not losing followers, you're actually gaining them.
yes, because you're
Yeah.
going after the racist crowd.
Mm-mm. And it's really scary because, which also explains why I have these other screenshots about the iceberg. This is the iceberg that um, it's been used. This one she it this image was attributed to United Shades of America about an iceberg, wherein on the surface these are the things you see that allegedly are attributed to racists, and then you look beneath the iceberg and then there are more issues that are actually attributed to people like Mikey. There was even this I just can't pronounce your name, and um then denying white privilege, and my intentions weren't to offend anyone, denying racism, all lives matter, accusing a black guy of not being born in America. These are the parts under the iceberg. And of course, at the end, at the lowest part of the iceberg is, well, self appointed ally, paternalism, and don't blame me, I never owned slaves. So, because there was this screenshotted tweet that Mikey made about uh, how she defines racism, because she's been having a lot of these tweets explaining how she's not racist, how some people are just drinking the racist Kool-Aid, and how a year ago it wasn't cool to call someone not racist, and then this is the
Oh, bullshit.
main tweet. I know, and this is one of the screenshotted tweets, like, sorry to be blunt, but racism isn't a dick measuring contest. You're saying whites can't experiencing it. I'm telling you I have. And this is
What?
Mikey's tweet.
Wait, what? How?
She then referred to an experience about coming over at Mac Cosmetics, one of those makeup companies. Like they had one of those kiosks, and then she realized that um, she was claiming that no one can help her because a lot of the people hired were women of color. So she was implying that because they're not of the same color, no one can help her, which is, of course, it was, well, Swoop tried to debunk that. I'm not sure about this, but I'm just relying on Swoop's words here because in Swoop's experience, she would go to some other, or maybe also MAC Cosmetics, but she also tried to use MAC Cosmetics to as response to Mikey saying that, yeah, I've been to one of those shops and not a single woman of color, not a single person of color was hired. So, because a lot of people were claiming that they're willing to help, but the moment they see that the people who are hired in a store, for example, don't have the same skin color as the customer, then there would be some doubts as whether those needs can be met. And it even reached a point that if you have seen Sue, later on we would be playing an excerpt of her video so that you would see her appearance because she's biracial. So that would give you a little idea of how she looked like and why these things are really affecting her. Because for her, as a filmmaker, it's about sharing her story, sharing her experiences as a woman of color, and how a lot of things, how much of her point of view was affected when she ended up becoming friends with Mikey. So it's really one of those instances where, sure, she makes it a point to credit Mikey where credit is due, but on those instances where she ended up getting some flack, or at least Swoop getting the bad end of the deal, that's when she ended up realizing that, yeah, it's like we became friends and this is what I ended up getting in return. So she ended up, and she made it a point to include a disclaimer at the pinned comment of the video that she tried to say these things privately to Mikey, and she ended up getting gaslit in return. It it's never comfortable for her, and basically, the earlier part of the video is about how Mikey, how Swoop is having these events about her career. And whenever she's talking to Mikey, Mikey has a tendency, allegedly, of making it about herself. Yeah, like it's a part that I can relate because I've been in a non-government organization before. I'll be sharing my experiences, and the founder would end up sharing her story, and then all of a sudden the event is all about her and not about me.
Of
Um,
course, they try to take it away from the one person that needs to explain it more often than usual.
mm, it's like um, it it sounds like someone stole the spotlight from me without me realizing it initially, but that's what happened. And which is why I can't help but relate to the story of Swoop as well. And most of the meteor parts of her story about Mikey were at the latter part of the video. She split the story into three parts. So, part one is basically about how she met Mikey, how the friendship grew, and how looking back, she realized that there was a lot of microaggression going on. Then part two was where she shared about how Mikey hated a lot of the content creators on YouTube because they were getting, according to Mikey, handed over their success simply because they're people of color or they're part of the LGBT community. And when I heard Swoop say that, I was like, not because you're part of the LGBTQ community or you're part or you're a person of color, you're immediately handed success to you on YouTube, or you don't immediately get all of these subscribers and followers and analytics in your favor just because you belong there. You go to that part because people like you, people like your content. And the main reason why Swoop ended up saying this, was because while Mikey was having collaborations with Jeffree Star and James Charles, at behind their back, she was claiming that these other content creators only amassed this massive following because they're part of the LGBT community or because they were people of color. She was referring to other content creators. And I can sense the underlying envy in all of these rants that she shared to Swoop through private DMs. And these DMs got included as screenshots in Swoop's video. Like, if you hate them so much, why did you agree to collaborate with them?
Fame, money.
Yeah, that's how I see it too. Good thing that we see the same viewpoint there, and it's I just find it funny because I tried watching the collaborations that Mikey did with James Charles and Jeffree Star. Of course, because her name is Glam&Gore, it would be based on some characters. So with James Charles, it was a makeup tutorial based on the horror movie The Nun, which turned out to be good. I have to be honest. I did not include a screenshot of that here because you can see that for yourself. The rest of the viewers can see that for themselves. It turned out to be great. And as for the collaboration with Jeffree Star, I'm not sure if this is an inside joke or what, but the makeup tutorial that Glam&Gore did with Jeffree Star was Voldemort.
Oh, okay.
I can see the joke there. I can see that's how you get the that's how you express a joke. You simply do something and people will laugh. You don't need to explain anything.
Yeah,
That's
if
not
they
supposed
get
to
it
be.
right away.
You know, they get it right away. So they don't have to resort to that. So the one of the breaking points that Asoop ended up expressing here, there was this tweet that she made because this was after Mikey ghosted her. I mean, there are a lot of events going on in Swoop's life. That's her name, Spanky Valentine. There's a lot of there are a lot of things. I know, I know. It's kind of funny that she made this tweet. That moment when you realize someone you thought was a good friend considers herself more valuable or worthwhile a person because she has a higher sub count than you, followed by that moment when you realize you need to stick with some better quality friends. Hashtag we are all worthwhile. While I see this as part of her uh, plan to promote her short film Worthy, the fact that she is starting to sense again that her spotlight is being taken away from her, that she ended up doing that video um, about Glam&Gore. So this is the part where we start watching that clip. I would just forward it or skip it to the part where she she's talking about the time when Mikey tried to reach to her again. Good thing we have the link here or the timestamp. A lot of timestamps have been collecting as of late just to make sure that I'm getting these clips right. And artists really hate it whenever their spotlight is taken away from them. I realized that a few years ago. I
That
just hope
is
that I
right.
get to. Oh, yes. I mean, I'm not an artist, I'm a writer. I'm offended when. If the article is not about me, then it's fine. But if the article is about um, someone else, then yeah, go ahead. I don't always share my story in writing, but I make it a point to be artistic, so to speak. Okay. I would like to apologize for the for the slow internet.
How's it
And then
getting to
we,
you over there?
After I sent that message and also said some really encouraging things to her. And let me remind you, this was on the day that I released my film about suicide and depression. She ghosted me. I didn't hear from her.
I apologize for the lack of trigger warning here, but this is about a lot of the depression that she suffered at that time. She was trying to find a support group and, or at least a supportive person, and she ended up with Mikey. So to continue,
And I wrote her again, really supportive things 2 days later, and still nothing. That was probably because I said some things trying to support a different narrative than the one that she wanted then. Like, I didn't hear from her until 5 days later when she popped up to ask me if I'm coming to her birthday party, moving me one step closer to just being done. So fast forward a month later, and one of our last communications was over this tweet that I made about a creator who I didn't name. Here's what my tweet said. That moment when you realize someone you thought was a good friend considers herself more valuable, worthwhile a person because she has a higher sub count than you. Now, a couple of people had responded to the tweet, wondering if maybe.
yeah. So these are the two replies that she received, simply asking her if this is about that girl. I mean hashtag. Uh, I mean rather at Glam&Gore, which is the handle of Mikey. And then of course, oh, thinking that just a couple of tweets that were trying to ask her.
It was about her. So I get a long text from her, and from what I could tell, it was just that same gaslighting format again. She starts on my side saying, hope everything's okay, but then it shifts, and she says, sorry that the overlap in our audience has some speculating, but it makes me uncomfortable you haven't publicly denounced the speculation, so it just allows people to continue to think maybe it's about me. So I realized that this was just a damage control thing that she's doing here. I don't think she actually cares about what I may be going through. But then she pushes it further by trying to confuse me. Here's where the gaslighting starts. Unless you haven't announced it because it is about me, in which case I wouldn't even know where to start there, since I wouldn't understand how that applies. Meaning, well, this couldn't possibly be about me because that wouldn't make any sense at all. I'm saying this assuming it must not be about me, but in which case it makes me uncomfortable. And like the reality is, because you injected yourself in this, you just made it about you. The thing is, so many times people in powerful positions try to manipulate or dictate what the smaller person does on their own platform, that I should denounce my own followers on my own Twitter. It's amazing that she could exemplify what my tweet was about. Like, I can't imagine she'd ever go to James Charles or Jeffree Star or Nikki Tutorials and tell them to publicly denounce comments on their platforms that she doesn't like. So if I had 5 to 10 million subscribers, would she be pressuring me on this? I don't think so. And mind you, I had texted her a few days before, just checking in, seeing how she's doing, and I didn't get any response. But like, I didn't complain about that. But the moment she doesn't like something, I hear from her, and she expects me to instantly respond and do something that she wants. That just played off this ongoing narrative where she had made it clear on several occasions that my time apparently wasn't as valuable as hers. And I've tried to talk to her in the past about how much she confuses me, but she wouldn't listen. So I took a pause and I didn't reply for a few days. And when I did, I got no response. I reached out a month later saying, hey, been a lot going on. How are you? No response. I texted a few days later to congratulate her on her relationship and genuinely trying to say I'm happy for you, and I got no response.
By the way, that other part, she must be referring to that new relationship that Mikey had with Anthony Padilla. If that name rings a bell, because he used to be one half of Smosh.
Yes. The name is
Okay,
very, very familiar to me.
definitely. Just in case you'd like me to pause in between, since Swoop tends to talk a little too fast, just say so.
All right.
I reached out one more time a couple months ago. No response. It was very clear that because I didn't do what she wanted and denounce a couple people on Twitter, that she had just scrubbed our entire friendship after 2+ years. And that hurt, especially after seeing her continue to be friends with people like Gabby, who she had nasty fights with, or with James Charles, who she couldn't stand and talk shit about, but she could use them. And here
By the way, the Gabby that she's referring to is Gabby Hanna, another one of those problematic YouTubers. I don't plan to cover her in the future unless something major happens. Just to get that point across, okay? Don't request for Gabby Hanna's topic.
Done deal. But I could see a
I
pattern.
was, after all,
What
I,
pattern?
I I could see a pattern. This pattern of her pretty much using or trying to get more into the psyche of subscribers that are probably close to her or more above her. So, I mean, if you know about the YouTube algorithm, it tends to go more towards conservative right wing values. And this is
Mm-mm.
probably why she's been doing all this makeup and she's interacting with makeup artists that not necessarily on the left side of things because the algorithm doesn't go to that point. And it looks like
Mm-mm.
Miss Valentine here, she
Mm-mm.
tends to not be in that in that whole group. I mean, I can even tell in the title she's talking about the black community. So,
Yeah.
and she's definitely mixed. So, I mean, it's going to be problematic if she were to go over to that side because then she'll be accused of being a traitor. But I mean,
Yeah.
she's sticking to her thing, which is nice. Miss
Good.
Valentine is, and she's calling it out, which I'm enjoying so far.
Yeah. Which is why, by the way, a lot of people at that time were complaining why this is not trending. Well, last time I checked, it already broke the 1 million view mark. So let's just continue with this.
all of the pain that I had been through after the stuff she said about minorities and racism and LGBTQ plus, I was still trying to be friends with her like an idiot. And I got radio silence. And so I had it. Another thing that just kind of pushed me over the edge was this text message that I received on the day that I released my film Worthy, which I put out just a short while ago. Now, that was a really personal film about mine and my family's experience with racism, and it was something that I wanted to contribute to the Black community to hopefully uplift people. And there was a section in there where I referred to an experience that I had with a white influencer. I have had a white influencer friend tell me bigoted, oppressive things, and the same person turns around and posts about what a great ally they are for Black people and an ally they are for minorities. And I received a text message from this guy. Now, this was someone that she used to date and is now best friends with, and I hadn't heard from him in many, many months. Now, I didn't open the text message right away because I didn't want yet another day where I
Look at the disclaimer. He's white.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's what I was
Oh,
thinking
God.
too. I was like thinking like, wait, is he
Oh.
white? Because if he's not returning your text, there's probably a good reason why.
Yeah.
Or not a good reason, a bad reason why. Look, I like the fact that she talked about her being an idiot and like being around her even while she was doing all this racist and homophobic things. At least she was willing to acknowledge that, yeah, I was acting like a fucking idiot. And now that she's getting into this, now we're starting to see a pattern of every single influencer that she's been hanging out with. And yeah.
Okay.
I am trying to share about my Black experience for them to make it about her. I didn't want to be gaslit about this. I didn't want to be manipulated about this again. But when I finally opened the text message, that is exactly what it was. Now, the thing is, there are some phrases in here that are very similar to one of the last text messages that she sent me. So I don't know if he actually wrote this or if she wrote this entire thing. I don't know. There's a lot of similarities. So it starts off like very on my side and it says, "Hey, hey there, I saw your video. I know how much of an impact being biracial has had on you and your place in the world, where it feels like you just don't belong in either group. First of all, please do not come at me and make me feel like I don't know my place in the world. I know very well where my place is in this world. And then here's where things shift, and here's where the real gaslighting begins. So it says, the only thing I'm a little concerned about. First of all, I don't care about what your concerns are. I don't know why you felt like it was appropriate for you to come at me on the day that I release a film about my Black experience to express to me your concerns, but okay. The only thing I'm a little concerned about was at the end when you mentioned big white influencers that are doing this for the wrong reasons. I never said big, that's your word. And I feel fucking insane to even think that you could be implying that about Lauren. Lauren is Mikey's first name. But then I saw that you don't follow her anymore. When you come at me saying that you would be insane to even think that I could feel that about her, you are literally implying that I must be insane for feeling this way about her. You instantaneously invalidate my experience and gaslight me into believing that I must be insane to feel this way. I am pissed right now. And then it goes on to say, I remember we all had a conversation about how YouTube treats creators in regards to race. Yeah, I remember those conversations as well. I remember that every time I tried to talk about my color, she immediately flipped it on me to make herself the victim of racism. And I remember that you were the one that told her your white actor friends can't get hired in Hollywood because minorities are getting all of the jobs, and how several times she weaponized that against me in order to make it sound like white people have it harder. So yeah.
These defenses oh my god. As you couldn't tell, I was probably laughing through most of the defenses that you're hearing from Glam&Gore here, or Lauren as her real first name is. Holy crap. I mean, first of all, and even like Lauren's friend here, it's like, I liked when she said, I do not give a fuck about your concern. I love that. That was perfect. It's like, what do you have to be concerned about? She's sharing her story about being Black, or her Black experience. Why? And she's probably going to be looked at as more Black anyway, because that tends to always be the case when it comes to mixed races, especially because they see the hair, and the hair is always like something that's also how people get into this whole racism thing. And even the fact that trying to defend Glam here, or her friend trying to defend Glam here with this is nuts, and the gaslighting thing is going again and again. Trying to ignore race issues on YouTube. This is one of the biggest problems. I mean, Etika was probably the only person of color that probably made it, of that I can think of, when it came to gaming. I didn't see anybody else that was a person of color in the gaming community get that as big as Etika did. And we all know what happened to Etika. He killed himself. And one of the things that I said in that video was it was probably because one of the reasons, there are a multitude of reasons, but one of the reasons probably was because he was Black and he was probably getting a lot of racist comments. That tends to be the case. And I jumped at that right away. And you're going to start seeing that with transgender people when they start YouTube channels. You see a lot of homophobia. They'll get disliked immediately. And not because they're making bad content, it's just because of their identity. And whenever I am on Twitter and they do like the digital creators files, a lot of them are makeup artists. James Charles always pops up, but most of them are white. They go right towards that because that's what the algorithm goes to. And you're seeing Glam defend this, and even going so far as to saying my white friend actors can't make it in Hollywood because all the people of color. Bullshit. We're still going through problems with it too, where you still have a lot of movies that are American movies that get dedicated towards white stories or white characteristics. There's not enough minority stories being put out there. I mean, you know how long it was when Crazy Rich Asians came out? There's not been a movie since Crazy Rich Asians that has really shown like Asian stories in that sense. Parasite was the last one and that got like the best picture Oscar. But in terms of like making it an American movie, that has been that long, and it's been what, 3 years since, and we haven't had a single one Asian story movie that's been made into a movie. You're starting to see more. You're starting to see more black stories that have been made into Hollywood, but they're not getting the recognition as much as they should be deserved of. And there's also the fact that if you talk to anybody that's autistic, if you saw anyone that made when Sia made her movie and the backlash she got for it, for having an autistic character that was stereotypical, we've been wanting stories like that for a while, but they haven't been made in the image that we want it to be. And now she's getting praised for her movie. She got nominated for a Golden Globe for her movie. So there's still all this problems with minority groups in Hollywood, where it's mostly producers, it's mostly people that try to go towards a more white audience, and the fact that Glam is saying like, "Oh, my white actor friends can't make it," well, that's a lie. That's a lie. They're probably just
Nobody believes that.
Yeah, nobody believes that. It's probably A, your white actor friends are just not that good at acting. That could be one of them. Or two, we all know how ableist Hollywood is. They probably just said, "Oh, we would love to have you, but you're just an inch too short for this character." Like, they'll even pull it down to the inch.
Yeah, which is why I skipped the part in this video where she was sharing, where Miss Valentine was sharing how she was told to bleach her skin, she was told to change her hair, she was told to basically stop looking like one of those people in the ghetto.
Oh,
Like, yeah,
God.
the word ghetto was used, and like, I will just post the part here in her video that was towards more about the gaslighting and how the behavior, how I'd like to make it look like Miss Valentine succeeded, and she's still trying to succeed here, clearly, because she had her time, she had her spotlight, she had her opportunity to shine as a filmmaker. And you have this other YouTube content creator that's trying to make everything about herself, even if this is about Miss Valentine's story. So, yeah, let's continue with this clip.
I remember those conversations. And it goes on, I wanted to make sure that Lauren's not who you were talking about, because I would hope to God you know that's not how she feels, right? Is it you who's trying to find this out, or did she put you up to this? Did she actually write this? Because honestly, I can't tell. And then it goes on to say, and I remember a couple of months ago, there was a tweet that felt like a subtweet of her. I thought we were talking about my film, but I guess now we are talking about a tweet that she also did not like.
You noticed how the conversation was immediately shifted to being about Mikey and not about congratulating her for her successful launch of her short film, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, immediately went right to, like, oh, let's get away from this film about your black experience and make it more about the white girl that does not like her criticisms in a tweet.
Yeah, because early on in this video, Swoop was sharing how she was asked by Mikey to lie to other people. It's like, so is this another case of Mikey getting other people to lie for her behalf again? Like, mm, I don't like the manipulation going on here, but let's continue with this clip.
Like, I just remember her being upset when people were suggesting that it could be her, because there's such a big overlap in your fan base, which is a really interesting phrase that you said that, because that's almost exactly what she said to me in her text message about that tweet. But I just gave you the benefit of the doubt because that just seems so incredibly unlike you. Oh, Lord, give me strength. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I have to be a little petty for a moment right now, because that is the only way that I can get through this. So I would like to say how thankful and grateful I am that you, out of the kindness of your heart, would allow me, a black woman, the benefit of the doubt to realize that my experience must have been a lie. Thank you. So I just figured it was about someone else, considering how many awful, shitty, cloud-chasing people live in this city. You mean like people who constantly shit-talk other people behind closed doors, but then use them and go on their channels to get their audience and subscribers? That kind of cloud-chasing? Anyways, I hope this doesn't come across too accusatory or anything. Listen, Peter, if you find yourself sending a text message saying, I hope this doesn't come across too accusatory to a black person on the day that they release their film opening up about their very personal and painful experience with racism during the civil rights movement, you done f***ed up. If you are talking about her, then I'm not sure what to think because I know that's not the case. How do you know that's not the case? Number one, you have not had my experience. Number two, have you ever been black? I don't know why you felt the need or that it was appropriate to come at me, a black woman, on the day that I release a film about the black experience during the biggest civil rights movement known to mankind. I don't know why you or both of you felt the need to gaslight me again about my experience. This is not okay. And you know, Peter, if this was from you, like, I was always on your side. There were so many times when I took tons of heat because I declined hanging out with her because I knew she was hanging out with some new person and that she was going to ask me to lie to you about it. You may have decided to turn a blind eye to her public and private behavior, but that's on you. When we are in such a huge civil rights movement and I don't hear from either of you, I never heard from Mikey once during all of this, not even during the pandemic. So why is it that I'm suddenly hearing from you, but only after you've seen that I have publicly alluded to the fact that I have had an experience with a white influencer? It's quite telling that the only influencer that reached out to me about this was her. And for me, I feel like that's because that deep down inside that she knows that these things she's done are wrong. Those who don't have tone deaf or racist skeletons in the closet aren't worried when the housekeeper comes through. So this brings us to the last incident where I had had enough. It was the day that I had tweeted for the first time about being sexually assaulted by Ron Jeremy.
Wait,
Yes.
Ron Jeremy?
Yes, yeah. See that guy? See that screenshot there?
She was one of Ron Jeremy's victims.
Yep.
Holy crap! Oh God, I can't imagine what Lauren's gonna say about this.
Yeah, which is why I paused it for a while to just emphasize to show this tweet. So, just to read the tweet, moments upon taking this photo with Ron Jeremy, he turned and shoved one hand down inside my bottoms and attempted to me while shoving his other hand completely inside my bra, grabbing my breast, all with a casual smile on his face as if I were a semi-amusing toy.
I mean, it had been 7 months.
You were saying? Or you just want me to continue?
No, continue. I want to hear more of this
Since
story.
I had heard from her after her ignoring all of my messages, meaning the world had shut down because of the virus, the civil rights movement was happening, and I hadn't heard from her. Unless, of course, you count the messages where I was gaslit about my film about being black during the civil rights movement. Now, I do want to point out at the end of the thread where I was opening up about my assault, I spoke to the movement and I said, I'm tired of the continual excuses being made for people who use, abuse, manipulate, exploit, and harm other people. Be it sexual assault, abuse, racism, or any form of oppression, I'm done living in the shadows, hiding my voice for the sake of not conflicting with others' reputations. It's their shame, not mine. And so when I tweeted that, I suddenly hear from her after 7 months. And she starts off by saying, I saw your tweet about Ron Jeremy, and then says, I hope you've been doing as okay as one could be with everything going on, like not acknowledging the civil rights movement and, you know, being black, but okay, that's cool. Now, I didn't respond to this because I don't need you suddenly sliding in my messages to talk about my sexual assault as if I'm supposed to believe that you care. The only reason that I got a message was because of what I said at the end of those tweets, that I'm not going to hide my voice anymore about this stuff. I think she was just scared that I might start talking about what happened with her over racism, manipulation, abuse, and also because I never replied to Peter's messages about my film and calling out a white influencer. But since I didn't reply and some time went by, she texts me again saying, maybe this is a dumb question, but are you okay with people sharing your story? I'd like to retweet to share it if it would help more people to see it. In any case, I'm here if you need to talk. I'm always here to listen.
After
I'm gonna
all
say
that,
this to Mikey.
Yeah.
after all that, now you want to be like the good friend? Holy crap! I can understand why she's like, "Fuck this woman."
Yeah, she's banking on another person's.
Do you really think, after 7 months of completely ignoring me, that it was appropriate to think that I would trust you to confide in about my sexual assault? Do you really think you could ignore your one black friend during the pandemic, during the biggest civil rights movement known to mankind, only to suddenly pop up, manipulating me and try to bribe me with a repost to your big audience because you're scared of what I said in my tweet? Let me read that tweet again. I'm done living in the shadows, hiding my voice for the sake of not conflicting with others' reputations. I'm just done. You couldn't even hit the damn like button on the tweet. Like, that is the easiest way to show some support without making it about you, but you don't care about me. She saw my sexual assault as an easy way in to make a paper trail to make it look like she cares. Like, that's awful. And when she didn't get a response to her first text, to immediately ask me if she can share my trauma on her socials to make it look like she cares, she tried to bait me out with this retweet. I don't trust her. It's manipulative. She used our trauma to profit from in the past. She's using our trauma now as her badge of honor. And she tried to use my trauma to fake like we're friends to boost her optics. Like, oh, look how great she is for using her platform to support her black friend that she shunned during the biggest civil rights movement known to mankind. And here's some irony. There was only one time in our entire friendship that I asked if she'd maybe possibly consider sharing one of my videos to support, which was my first film about depression, which was the single most important thing that I had ever created. Like, no flex, but it won the cinematography award at Buffer Festival. So it wasn't just some crappy video. She didn't share it. I never brought it up. But later she got mad at me that I asked for support and I had to apologize, which made me feel like shit. So how is it that when we are friends, she gets mad the one time I asked for support saying she felt used, but when she ghosts me for 7 months, she's got no problem trying to use me for sharing to fake support? This pushed me over the edge. Like, it was the end of the line for me. And like, I don't know, maybe if she hadn't done this, maybe I wouldn't even be making this video right now. You know, looking back, it's amazing. Like, she somehow managed to make every major milestone I had about her. Like, the day that I released Darkness, my first film opening up about depression, she chastised me about babysitting her dog when I was in the middle of a deep depression. When I released Lost in Darkness and asked if she'd maybe share it, she made me feel like shit for asking for a little support. The day I released Unspoken, my film about really heavy stuff, she complains about needing more power and trashing James Charles. The day I release Worthy, my film about being black, they gaslight me about being black. The day I share my assault story, she wants to use my trauma to publicly fake friendship. Even the day of my Shane Dawson video, she tries to gaslight me about why I unfollowed her. Like, I don't understand. How is it that every time on the day that I do something that's very important to me, that it's somehow about her? I'm trying to excel beyond the bullshit and do things to help people in bigger ways, and every time I do, it's like she goes out of her way to cut me down and make herself a victim during my successes. But I guess my success was just handed to me in her eyes. At this point, because people keep asking, I'm not friends with her. I unfollowed her and I'm done. I'm done because of the endless microaggressions, which are racist. I'm done because from my perspective, she exploits black trauma. She repeatedly made herself the victim of our oppression. She dragged women of color, gaslit me, belittles the success of LGBTQ plus creators, and trashes people she steps on to get to the top while devaluing us. That is why I am done.
Okay, so yeah, I have to stop right there. She still has a lot more to say, but point is already taken there. So it's one of those stories where, yeah, it only gained traction or at least it gained some exposure because she talked about someone high profile in the community. Well, you know how it is in on YouTube and in other social media platforms. Something only gains traction whenever it's about someone popular or talking about certain topics that not everyone else is brave enough to talk about. I mean, there are times that I try to ask myself, am I the right person to talk about this? And because I'm neither black nor white. I'm Asian. I'm Filipino. I'm from the Philippines. I've never been in the United States. I'm just seeing all of these trends that are popping up on YouTube. And as you already know, if you've seen my previous episodes here on Untold Legend Season 2, you are already aware that some of the topics here are topics that trended that Jodini's side of the internet may not exactly know about, but may have heard of, perhaps. And we end up we well, for me, I try not to judge. I try to understand and also ask some questions because um, it's only about a few years ago that I realized why the N word is offensive. It's only a few years ago why I learned what the civil rights movement is, and there are a lot of things online that I have realized because there are certain topics online that got politicized whenever discussions arise. So, of course, on my end, I am continually curious about everything, and then at the bottom of it all, I end up asking myself, okay, so you mentioned the people that are involved here. It's like, did they take accountability for this? Or did they take responsibility? Did they realize the error of their ways? Sometimes I'm just looking for an apology, whether they meant it or not, because it's up to us to analyze if they really meant it or not. And speaking of apologies, of course, there was an apology that was posted on Mikey's Instagram story. So it's an Instagram story, not a YouTube video. And I would try to read it because it's quite long. It's something that some people would refer to as a notepad apology, not always a good thing to refer to apologies. But here I found a screenshot of this apology that Mikey tried to do. And to read how many paragraphs are these? Anyway, okay. So to quote Mikey on this apology, I'm sorry for my behavior in years past, and I should have said this sooner. I ignorantly, selfishly, truly have not understood, nor did I take the time to listen about others' hardships when I was so consumed and angered with my own problems. I equated things that were not equitable. I've said a lot of things I regret that I feel don't reflect who I am today. I am ashamed of jokes I've made in the past that I excused as edgy humor. I'm ashamed at times have been incredibly tone deaf and excused that, even in past apologies, by my well meaning intentions. United. If I'm missing the mark, good intentions or not, I'm missing the mark and should have been listening. And some things weren't simply missing the mark, they were just plain wrong. Rihanna mentioned in Bruce's tutorial. In truth, I have just wanted them to go away because the thought of addressing it out seemingly nowhere terrified me. I have been afraid of being condemned for my past actions forever. I've changed a lot in the past 2 years, and I am so ashamed of who I used to be, how self absorbed I was, and the way I used to direct my own insecurities onto other people, the way I've been so defensive, the way I refuse to listen. But you are owed an apology, and I've been too coward to say it. It took me seeing a lot of my own problems through some events I went through last year that very few people in my life know about to start to be open to basics. I always should have and wished I have been open so long beforehand. I've been dealing with this privately, but I do not like who I used to be, and I have been working on this. I have lacked empathy. I have lacked patience. I lack courage. I had hoped my future actions would show that I don't stand by things I've said or done in the past, but I should have apologized as well. Again, I was choosing the comfort of myself over the comfort of those I have hurt. This is coming too late, and sorry is not nearly enough, but I am deeply sorry. Learning how to be a good ally will be a lifelong journey, but I want to listen, to grow, and to be better. As for personal things that have gone on between Spanky and I, a lot of things were shared or omitted without the full context, which does change some conversations. But I understand that even without full context, that doesn't make it any less harmful today. It's uncomfortable for me to get this personal online, but I understand my comfort has come at the detriment to others, so I need to address this. In short, we were very close at one point. I trusted her, and we vented together often about the beauty community. A lot of my insecurities and jealousy issues came through in deplorable ways that were said in anger and frustration. I was feeling bad for myself when I shouldn't have, and aimed those feelings at those succeeding around me in an attempt to cope with my own problems. With Spanky, I tried to console her in ways that I looked for any upside I thought I could find. But I understand why I was ultimately selfish and way off the mark with how I tried to do that. I missed her frustrations due to my own ignorance, and I wish I had been a better friend and a better listener. The truth is, I just did not know she felt most of these things until now, and it will take some time examining my own perspective and listening to learn how it got here, as my intent was never to hurt her. But again, I understand intent is not the end at all be all, so I take responsibility for how badly my intent did not align with my actions. End quote.
And what did she do after this?
Well, that apology was addressed in Swoop's video, and I don't expect her to believe it. I ended up getting preoccupied with the reaction that her expose about Mikey was, because there was this other cloud chaser. Yeah, let's call him her hobby is a cloud chaser. Someone called out Swoop for saying that she's not black enough for
Oh my
calling
god.
her out. And you want to guess who it is?
Her?
No, it's Keemstar.
Oh, great. Got a, now
Right?
another person you're gonna align yourself with. Great.
Because, which is why I made the point to mention that Swoop is biracial, because not because she's biracial, she's not allowed to talk about things that concern her, because um, the problem with her case is that some blacks don't find her black enough, some whites don't find her fair enough, and then you have people like Keemstar calling her out for this stuff, and yeah, it's
Oh,
I see
he's
a
an
pattern of
asshole.
behavior. Yeah, I see a pattern of behavior here. White people making the struggles of the other people about them. Clearly, it's not always about them. And Swoop, in her last video, she said goodbye. It might be just a temporary goodbye. Hopefully, it's just temporary, because I consider her short films as good. It's like there is no other way to talk about depression but talking about the darkness that engulfed you whenever you're sad, whenever you're feeling at your worst, whenever you feel that you're not worthy enough and you feel so inadequate. And it's sad that sometimes you only realize the level of worth you have in yourself whenever you end up with people like Mikey, or how she presented Mikey to be, because this has been consistent in her behavior, even because earlier in the video with Mikey, or earlier in the video in Swoop's video, it was mentioned how Mikey would have a party. She would be inviting her white friends over, and then uh, Swoop was not allowed to invite not a single black friend into the party. So she ends up becoming the only black person in the party. And I said, and as I listened further in the story, it got worse and worse. Wherein the main reason why she's not buying the apology here is that she has apologized for other things in the past. Mikey was acting like, why do I have to apologize for this thing? Why do I have to apologize for that thing? I'm the victim here. So it's like, and she was talking with another white influencer. Swoop did not say big white influencer, just white influencer. Although I have an idea who might that other influencer be, um, I have to hold my tongue because I might be wrong in that kind of a speculation. There was another white influencer that got called out, that got canceled last year for racist behavior and for saying the N word. So if this is the kind of these are the kind of friends that Mikey's hanging around with, then yeah, she will not always understand why she has to apologize. And personally, if someone does not understand why they have to apologize, means they don't consider what they did as something wrong. And the troubling thing about that story is that why do I have to apologize for that behavior? I am the victim here. I'm the one at the bad end of the deal. I, I really, I really hate it whenever people take this victim mentality to justify their refusal to not apologize.
Yeah, because it's just a matter of I just want to keep doing what I'm doing on my channel, getting the subs, getting the views, and getting the likes on Twitter. I don't want to have to put up with any of this bullshit because I deserve everything that's coming to me because I worked at this, which no. There's some this is not a YouTube is not a meritocracy where if you work at it you'll get the rewards. That's not how it operates. The algorithm just is catered more towards you than it is to minorities. So, I mean, you're
Yeah.
going to have a slight advantage, or not even a slight, a major advantage. And the fact that
Yeah.
people are calling you out on that and trying to change that, that's scary to you. And you want to try to stop that as fast as possible. Because then you're going to start losing views and the subs will go down and then you'll start losing that money.
So I haven't checked yet if Mikey actually lost for real subscribers from this. Although I kind of feel bad that although Swoop's video earned 108,000 likes, it has 18,000 dislikes. So maybe a small percentage, 10% maybe of the likes. I'm just estimating the ratio here. And the main reason that some of these videos on YouTube about Mikey or some other influencer that got caught doing stupid stuff is like everyone is trying to analyze a pattern of behavior now. Like, yeah, somebody did this, or Mikey did this, and then she apologized, and then she did this, and then she apologized, and then she got exposed big time. I think this is the third issue that got attributed to her that she has trouble getting away from because, um, girl, you're just apologizing for the sake of apologizing. It's like, which is why I don't always support these calls for, hey, this person should apologize for doing this thing. Did you even realize if what they did was wrong? Maybe they're just apologizing for damage control and not because they realized what they did is wrong. So yeah, you're free to call out anyone and demand an apology, but don't expect them to have remorse for what they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
they're not here to reassure you. That's the thing.
mm,
Yeah, I feel bad for Swoop because she's got to go through this all the freaking time.
mm,
I mean,
yeah,
there's got to be like something that YouTubers can, or there's got to be at least something that we can go to YouTube and at least say, stop promoting this type of garbage because we know that it's harmful. But there's just not enough people that are doing that because there's a financial incentive from the top people that, oh yeah, I don't need to talk about this stuff. I mean, there's some people that I used to hang out with on Legends that refuse to talk about this. We're starting to see a pattern here, and then they're starting to get a lot more subscribers now that they're not talking about it. So it makes me think, like, what were their real intentions? Or what are they like in real life? Do I want to hang around these people anymore? Do I want to consider them to be people that have influenced me? I mean, because they have. But now seeing for them who they really are, do I want to be around them anymore? Do I see a change in them after, what, 4 years since I've done this? Yeah, and it's not a good change. So, I mean, they're probably gonna be at some point gonna be taking a look at this and saying, "Oh, there's gonna be a problem here," and we'll see how they react. And it's not gonna be good. Like
yeah,
down the,
because go ahead.
because I was saying, like down the rabbit hole show has not said a word about anything. Not anything what happened last year. Not even talking about some of the stuff that he's talked about or called out certain things. It's just always played it right down the middle, not trying to offend anybody. And unfortunately, you can't get away with that nowadays. I mean, you have to at least show some. You have to show at least some acknowledgement that this is out there and that you do not approve of this. And this is what I had a huge issue with. And I'm like, okay, you're just doing this for views and subs, and if that's going to be your cause, then I'm not here to support that. Then
I can't blame you because it's getting harder and harder to put out content sometimes that sometimes you just wanted to talk about these things because no one else is talking about it. Of course, intentions would always be put to question, but I end up sharing the sentiments of some of the comments on Swoop's video wherein they were like, how come every T channel, how come every drama channel is talking about the even the littlest, the most, even the pettiest issues on the TikTokers and not talk about things that Swoop is saying. It's like, um, it's not always a guarantee that you will not get the views or you will be shadow banned. Like, I've been checking out the previous episodes that I had, um, like just to check if some some of my previous episodes got demonetized or if they got um, they ended up having reduced income opportunities. And like, yeah, some of them did, and maybe that's the price that I pay. I think that's a lot payment for price that I pay on my end because you have people like Mikey claiming that, hey, this is the price I pay for being an ally. Like, no, that's not how it goes. That's not how it works. Like, some of us here on YouTube end up getting demonetized uh, for some of the choice of words that we have here. And I think we simply have to accept the fact that some people, some high profile people here on YouTube only get demonetized whenever their issues reach mainstream media. Like, do you think Shane Dawson will be demonetized if not for Jada Pinkett Smith's snapping on Twitter? Like, I'm done with. Have you seen that tweet by Jada Pinkett Smith about she saw that video where Shane was
Being racist.
no. Here's the clip that came out. There was a clip that came out. Shane Dawson tried to delete that clip, but unfortunately, other people's re-uploaded it online and turned off the monetization for the sake of just showing how Shane Dawson was jacking off at the picture of Willow Smith.
Oh
Of course,
God.
Jada Pinkett Smith was livid. First, it was
I would be
at
too.
first it was the brother that was livid on Twitter, and then it was Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith, all caps. She said, "I'm done with the excuses." At Shane Dawson, like, so that's was the only time that YouTube finally backed it up, demonetized Shane Dawson. I'm not sure how long he would be demonetized. Uh, Maybe you already know the part where Onision got demonetized because the documentary series about Onision on Discovery Plus really ended up exposing a lot about what he did um, online, right?
I've
So
not seen it.
you have I haven't seen it either. I don't think we have Discovery Plus yet. I might be referring to some friends to show me a clip of that or a few clips from that series. Um, yeah, there were a lot of leaks that are going on, and yeah, we ended up swaying a little from the topic because we just sometimes I come over on YouTube. I just check who is the next high profile YouTuber to be demonetized because mainstream media has spoken, and I'm still waiting, of course. Mikey is not demonetized last time I checked. Um, I end up seeing her Instagram as well, where she posted some photos with Anthony Padilla, and like, okay, it's like she's not ignoring the issue at least, but I'm not sure if she can come back this so easily because there was a lot. There were some T channels. There was a lot of backlash on this, and there were some T channels that were at least blunt in saying that, you know what, this is not tea. This is real life. Like I was like looking at that tea channel like, duh. This is the kind of life that they lived with, and this is what I've been trying to express for so long. And I appreciate people who stop reviewing themselves as victims, and I appreciate sharing their stories as survivors. It's a lot easier for me to appreciate because yeah, you've been in the darkest days of your lives. You've been in a dark place before, but you discovered that you have the power to see your worth. You can see your worth, and then you can prove to everyone, yeah, I can be successful. And then the success would make even the naysayers get attracted to you again. It's like that's what happened. I It's like if there's this person who initially became famous on YouTube for makeup tutorials based on horror movies and then ended up shifting that content to write on certain topics and come across wrong, then yeah. And it turns out that she's been this towards her white friends and her colored friends, people of color who happen to be her friends, but it seems like Swoop was the only person of color that became Mikey's friend. Mm, that's how I understand it. So, in my case, which is why I end up relating more to Swoop than to Mikey. Hello, Ara. Thank you for coming back. Uh, as I was saying a while ago, I was researching this story. I'm finding it hard to take down some of the notes that are referring. If there's an article about Mikey, of course that'd be easy for me. I would just pick some of the parts that would summarize the gist of what the topic or the section is all about. And then we have this one with Swoop talking about her depression and talking about how someone tried to make her depression about them. And I hope the best for Swoop, seriously, because she deserved all the success, because she became successful in her own right, not because she rode in the coattails of some other YouTuber. Because, mm, frankly, there are some people on YouTube that only became successful because of who they are connected with, and not because of the content that they became known for.
Mm-hmm.
So, if this is the kind of content, if Mikey or Glam&Gore ends up getting more views and likes on her social media page simply because she was riding on somebody's coattail, she was cloud chasing basically. I have to agree with the part about her being called a cloud chaser, because if you hate these people and you really don't agree with a lot of the things that they're doing, if you are so envious of their success, like, and you ended up working with them, even if maybe they liked her too, maybe I there's a little hint that they might have liked her too, and then they realize that she's been a shit talking them behind their back. Like, no, you need to be successful based on your own merits, if ever there's any merit left, of course. I'm not taking away the fact that Mikey is a talented makeup artist. I mean, some people already mistook her part about Death Stranding as I can't call it a deep fake if it's not that deep anyway. I might analyze that topic some other time. And if you did not immediately get fame for it, then who knows if you ended up cultivating okay, what if you ended up cultivating your own followers and they end up very loyal to you, and then they end up watching over and over your videos and they never get sick and tired of you? Isn't that a lot easier than gaining a million subscribers on YouTube? I know it's easier
Yeah.
said than done, but yeah, I've been struggling with that too. But
Hey, listen,
since
people are gonna like take 10 years before they get 1 million subscribers, but it's all about getting that fan base to be loyal to watching what it is and agreeing with what you're saying, than it is to try to do the fast way and trying to get there quick and then suffering the consequences later.
yeah, because it's a given that at this point YouTube is nearing saturation, and people are finding it harder and harder to get out content that would attract the people. But if you are willing to talk about some things that more people are afraid to talk about, then maybe you can analyze where your values stand, where your humanity is, if there's any humanity left in you, and if you have learned how to come from a place of help and have a backup plan when it comes to income generating activities, well, that's when you realize that, yeah, I can I can make a career on YouTube, but it's not my only career. In Mikey's case, YouTube is obviously not her only career, but with the things that she had done in the past, it seems like it's the only thing that she could do. But hopefully she would discover that if she if she can rediscover her humanity again, if she can find it in her heart to make it more about her art and less about her ego, there, I said it, the ego, then eventually, once she keep on doing what she loved doing, she would realize who her loyal followers are, and she would realize, hopefully, that you don't need to ride the coattail of someone else's pain just to make yourself look successful. Maybe if you have a way to alleviate their pain, that's how you can, and at least put the spotlight on them, put the spotlight where it deserves. Then you realize how a lot of people would be attracted to you. So that's how I view it. It's like, because there have been times that I thought I had the spot, and someone would yank it away from me. I don't like it, but I let them get away for so long, and when I snapped, I just left. So that's basically one piece of advice I would share with everyone. If you've been treated like crap, um, you don't always need to avenge yourself. You just need to be successful in your own right, in a way that does not capitalize on someone else's pain.
Yeah,
Um,
which people will do.
mm-mm. So yeah, before I end this episode, any final thoughts, Joe?
Everything I practically have said, I've already said, so I don't really have much left.
Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah, because this is how some podcasts should be. Because I can't afford the therapist, but I like to talk. So these some of these episodes really end up becoming therapeutic for me. I really like it that I get to talk it over with Joe, someone I'm really comfortable talking about things. So, and speaking of people that need to take accountability, our next episode for Untold Legend Season 2 is TanaCon.
Oh, great. I'll get a preview before I do my episode too, so.
Yeah,
Oh, this is going to be fun.
yeah, this would be fun. I hope I will not find it hard to transcribe some notes here as well, because Tana Mojo is not my favorite person in the world. She's not. She never learned. Just, just to be honest, just my observation. She never learned at all. So, she would be the top. She would be the topic, but only focusing on TanaCon. It's like that episode on Jaclyn Hill, wherein I initially thought it would be about Jaclyn Hill, and I realized that the topic about the lipsticks alone would already encompass a lot of things going on. That, yeah, I can simply focus on the lipsticks first, and then if there's enough time, I can talk about Jaclyn Hill and the rest of her stuff later. So here we end up talking about TanaCon on the next episode of Untold Legends Season 2. That would be Untold Legends Season 2, Episode 10. Thank you very much to everyone who joined us until the end. I really love it that you accompanied us in our first ever monetized live stream. I really want to thank everyone that helped us along the way. The road to YouTube monetization is never easy, but it's worth the wait. So I keep on telling everyone that, because as I see some of the people that stay, they're on their way to monetization as well. And as long as you don't lose your values, as long as you don't lose track of what's important in your life. I know 10 years down the line, these words will bite me in the ass if I ever do something wrong. So I will let them stay here on YouTube. So, and of course, there's Jodine to witness everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for accompanying me on episode 9 of season 2 Untold Legends. And I'd be seeing you again on the next episode of Untold Legends season 2. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.